cool. And we'll make sure that it actually goes live. And there we go. We are live.
Awesome.
Hello. Oh, man, my CPU is not happy with me tonight.
I know those struggles.
Yeah, I add so much to my stream that it gets a little boggy. But we'll be okay. It'll stay stable.
Awesome.
All right, so for my viewers, welcome. It's a little bit different from what we normally do for a stream. I usually have the intro and everything, but not today. Today we're gonna get rolling just right into it. And I'm joined here with MMD Network over on YouTube. How you doing, man?
Well, I'm doing all right.
All right.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. So today we're going to be doing kind of a podcast style show here, and we're going to go into basically kind of different perspectives on Destiny. So like my perspective on Destiny is very different from his because I've stayed with the game since the beginning. And when did you stop playing?
I wrote it down because I can't remember all the seasons. But somewhere last season in Forsaken.
Oh, wow.
Is the last time I played.
Okay.
It's quite a while ago.
Yeah.
I know.
I did take a 6 months hiatus kind of shortly after that. It was in that season of Drifter and season of Opulence. I took a 6 months hiatus, but I couldn't stay away. I tried to break the addiction, but it didn't work.
Kind of the same thing. Tried to break the addiction, and I've been sober for a couple of years now. So
yeah,
that's,
I had to backslide. I fell off the wagon.
It happens. Happens to the best of us.
Yes. Hey, what's up, Lions? How you doing? Welcome. So yeah, I think this is going to be really, really interesting to kind of dive into how different, we're going to see things. So, I guess my first question for you is going to be, what started you like getting into Destiny? Like, what was what got you hooked into it?
Basically, I started playing Destiny because it was just one friend who was a big Halo fan, and I never really was much into multiplayer games, and he said, you need to get Destiny. And so I did. That just the basic of it. Just started playing, meeting a couple of cool people. Just eventually I kind of got a bit bored of it. Didn't really play it a whole much after I completed the story. Eventually just people asked me to help with strikes, because especially on the Xbox One there weren't a whole lot of players. At least not in Europe. So whenever friends saw that I was online, they were just like, "Hey, want to help out?" Like, sure, why not? And that just kind of became a thing. Just keep helping people with strikes and such. Eventually, that turned into raids, and slowly and steadily, you're gonna get hooked to it.
Fair enough. I mean, my start was I can blame on my oldest daughter. She was only a baby at the time, only a few months old. And yes, I see you spinning me there, Hulk. Thank you. Hello, buddy. What happened? Like, we went to the store. I was living in Italy at the time. I'm married into the military, so I have that life with me. And we were living in Italy, and I just didn't really have a whole lot to do because I didn't have a job. So, I was just gaming more and went to go get a new game. And I gave my daughter the choice between, I don't remember which Assassin's Creed it was at the time. I think it was Black Flag.
Probably was Black Flag.
Yeah, I think it was Assassin's Creed Black Flag. And then I handed her Destiny because I was like, I enjoyed Halo, but I was like never a diehard fan. I was like, whatever. And I had some friends who were like, man, you need to get Destiny. It's going to be amazing. And I'm like, all right, we'll see. And, I didn't have that desire really initially to get it, but I handed both games to my infant child. And Yeah, it was just a thing where if she threw it on the ground, that was not the game to get. But if she started chewing on it, that was the game to get. So when I handed her Destiny, she started chewing on that, and I'm like, "There it is. That's the game I'm supposed to get." So I fired it up, and I remember like going, "What is this?" I mean, I played the alpha. I did the D1 alpha, and I didn't even understand like what the game was supposed to be from that alpha. And then I was trying to play, and I'm like, what is going on? It's talking in such riddles. What the hell is this? But I mean, that's where it started for me was just because my daughter chewed on it, and I was like, okay, that just solves the problem there. And then it became a 8-year addiction.
At least we can say that we kind of started out similar with not really having the desire to get the game in the
Yeah,
first place. We just kind of lured into it.
yeah.
Okay.
It's really
Uh,
interesting when you go, wow, neither one of us
huh.
really like were into this game like at all.
uh, yeah, it's the person who I started to play multiplayer games with because I never really played a whole lot of multiplayer games. He was big into Halo, and he was like, "This is Bungie, the original creators. This game is going to be awesome. You really need to get it. We can play it together." And I thought, all right, sure, why not?
Yeah.
And yeah, the rest is history.
Yeah, I had some friends back in the States who were like, great, you got this game, we can play together. I was like, cool, with my really terrible internet that I had, because where I lived in Italy, just no. Upload speed
Yeah.
was absolutely terrible. So I was that blueberry that was like jumping around all over the screen that everybody would yell at. Yeah, I was that guy.
I've seen once or twice.
Yeah.
Uh,
but
awesome.
but yeah. Um
Uh, so, what's the moment for you that made Destiny just turn into this, the game you were just playing to something you really thoroughly enjoyed and started playing often to the point it was almost an addiction?
um So there was a moment in D1, and I was hanging out with my guy I lived with before I moved and everything, and we were just kind of playing around. We were on Venus, and he's like, "Oh man, have you seen the new raid?" And I'm like, "What?" And I didn't even realize raids were really a thing. I didn't really understand what was going on in the game. And he took me to where the entrance to the Vault of Glass was, and a fire team was there and like doing the whole opening sequence of the raid, and we were kind of just standing there and we started helping out and everything, and the door opened up, and he was like, oh, this is going to be really cool, come in the door. And I was like, cool. So we went in a little bit, the door closed behind us. We didn't realize the door would close behind you, and we wound up getting locked inside, but there's a barrier. There was the invisible wall that wouldn't let us go any further, so we just got stuck in between the door and this invisible wall, and we hung out there for like
When
15
you're
minutes.
free playing, when
Huh?
you're free playing on
Yeah, yeah,
Venus, you
yeah,
mean?
we were just on
Yeah,
patrol.
yeah.
And so getting stuck in that invisible wall, and we sat there for 20 minutes, and he explained to me like what the raid was all about and everything. And he's like, we need to get this group together and do this. And I was like, I mean, okay, sure, we can try it. And then we got a group together and we went in, and when I saw the complexity at the time, it was complex. How you had to really coordinate and work together as a group in order to move forward. That's what kind of sold me. I was like, this actually does what they advertised it does, that it forces you to cooperate with other people. It's not just, oh, run together as a group, but somebody's going to run off and just, shoot, get killed like in Call of Duty or something like that. Like this one legit makes you think, work together as a group. And if one person fails, you got to figure out how to, collect yourselves. And that kind of chaos that went with it just got intoxicating to me. Like I became at that point just so engrossed in wanting to run the raid. Of course, the Forever 29 thing was also the when the game first come out. You're trying to get to light level 30, and you had to get the armor, but the only way you could get the armor was in the raid, and it was just like, oh my god, the Forever 29 days, the frustration of it. But I mean, it was that that need of camaraderie, that puzzle solving thing that had to be there, like all these different fun components was just so unique and refreshing to me that that's where the addiction kind of started for me. I mean, I don't know about you. Like, what was where did the addiction start for you? Was it similar? Or?
Yeah, actually. Um, so the one friend who said I really should get this game. I wasn't really playing Destiny a whole lot, but like I said before, people would just ask me to help them on strikes, and so he asked me if I would come online on Destiny to help him with the Nightfall. We did that. He went offline, and I was still, hanging around at the tower for a bit. And I just get a random message of some dude who was walking around there, and he said, "Hey, you want to join for the raid?" I'm like, "What? What raid? I've never done this." And he's
Yeah,
like, "Nah, it's cool. We have a couple of experienced guys. We just need people to fill up the fire squad." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, sure." And yeah, just started doing the raid with that group of people who were actually really nice.
yeah,
Um, still remember the person who brought everyone together. Dude called Mythical Tiger. He uh he stopped gaming, and that entire group eventually fell apart. But that was the start of the rating days for me, and that's when things really started to get interesting.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, it's a. I kind of miss the older days just for the simple reason that it all felt fresh and new, and everybody who was getting into it was just getting that fascination to it, and I think that's what a lot of people will reference is that fascination we all had when we first started in Destiny. That oh my God, look at what you get, what you have to do in this game, and it was amazing at the time. I think everybody still kind of tries to chase that.
Yeah, yeah, I think so as well.
Yeah. So, um, so I have to ask, like the falling off the wagon, as we'll go ahead and call it. When you kind of stopped. What was it that just made you go? You know what? I'm kind of done. Like what was that point for you?
Um, I've dropped out a couple of times actually. Like
Okay.
I didn't get Destiny 2 on release. I kind of dropped out during Rise of Iron and Destiny 1. And the last time was during Forsaken. And Forsaken was kind of easy to explain. It wasn't even that I didn't like the game anymore. It was just, getting too much. Every single week that you need to log in and do your quests and your daily missions and your weekly strikes and this and that. And by the time you're done at the end of the week, the new week is starting. And one week I just thought, you know what? I'm not going to do this for one week. I'm just going to play some other games. And then the week after that, I once more played other games. And then 2 months passed, and I thought, I actually don't really miss Destiny at this point.
That's fair.
It was just very time consuming, but
Yeah.
at no time did I really thought, man, I'm completely done with this game. I hate this game. What a waste of time it has been. I kind of always liked it, and
Yeah.
I still, remember it fondly playing it and the people I've met on the game.
Okay. I mean, um, I do remember because like for me it was short. It was kind of like similarly after Forsaken that I kind of was like, all right, I'll kind of just take a break from it because I was hitting that burnout. But for me, it was like what really drove some of that draw away from wanting to be engaged and everything was when they announced Destiny 2, they said that all right, we're going to release it on PC as well. But this was before crossplay was even a thing. And so what happened for me was I was on PlayStation and um I was playing with this group all the time, this clan that I had all good friends in and everything, and they all decided to go to PC. And they're like, "Come on, man, come to PC with us." And I'm like, I can't. I didn't have the money to upgrade my PC. I didn't like there was no way I could run Destiny 2 on the PC I had. And I'm like, I can't. Like it's just not feasible. I'm like, why don't you guys just get in on PlayStation and stay, we can all still stay together. And it just everything fractured from there. And then it wound up where I wasn't really getting into Nightfalls because I didn't want an LFG, because doing an LFG and looking for people, I kept winding up with toxic people who would, just kind of degrade me and everything. And it was just like, I kept kind of going on my own and keeping up with the story in the game, but it just, there came that point where it was like, I don't really have anybody to play with. And I got really depressed about it, and so I was like, "All right, it's other games time," and so I fell off. And then when I came back, I actually was like, "Nope, it's time to break out." And I found a new clan to join, and then I met all these people that I'm currently with, and formed a new clan with and whatnot. And now it's become another part of my life that it's just I dedicate myself to that clan and keep it going and everything. And um I don't know. It always kind of winds up coming back to the people you get surrounded with in Destiny kind of become the reason you stay in Destiny. And so when you lose people, that's when you start falling off.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Yeah.
So, how many like groups or clans have you gone through in your time
Um.
in Destiny?
So I suffer from like really bad social anxiety. I've gotten better the past year through therapy, but what the first clan I had in Destiny 1 was the first one, and then I just didn't have a clan until shortly before Shadowkeep dropped. And then I reached out to a clan, joined it, and I slowly kind of worked my way to be okay with like interacting with other people. And then I met my really good friend who goes by Sucks. Yeah. Um, and he and I became really good friends, and then we wound up forming our own clan. And from there, he and I have just been running this clan for the past almost 3 years. And, we see a lot of people kind of come in, come out, and everything, but we have our kind of core group that's there, and it just makes it worthwhile every time. But, I've only been in 3 clans, and one of them I founded. So,
You're gonna hate what I say, but the same. I've also been part of 3 clans, one of which I founded. uh,
I'm starting to see a pattern here.
Kinda, yeah. I will say throughout my entire Destiny 2 experience, I didn't really have a clan. Like there were a couple of friends who were playing, but we were all at different stages. Some would just play casually, and once a year of the game has passed, they still didn't even go through all the story missions and stuff like that. And then there were other people who were like me, a bit more competitive, but there weren't enough of us.
Yeah.
Um, so when it comes to Destiny 2, I've never done any of the raids. Like I've attempted one of them, um, which I, I think it was the original run
The
in Destiny
Leviathan.
2, the Leviathan, that one.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that just didn't really pan out, as there was only this one opportunity where there were finally enough people in the friend group who were online, and one of them just kept falling asleep. So that didn't work out very well. Uh,
I can never figure out
yeah,
how that
so,
happens, but
like uh, we were in this room where you had to jump, like run in a circle and jump through
the
certain
gauntlet.
hoops.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the gauntlet. And we were at that part, and this one person in our group who had done it with other people in the past, he was talking us through it, and we were all ready, and it was just going really well, and the entire flow was in that, and then wipe, Mike, Mike, God damn it, Mike, wake up.
I've never figured
And
out how you can fall asleep during those things, but it's always impressive to me.
and after like 5 times, we just decided, nah, that it's not gonna happen tonight, and we never really tried again,
Oh,
unfortunately.
that's
Uh,
sad.
yeah.
The Leviathan definitely had some questionable mechanics, especially at the end. There was a part where Callus would
Okay.
like suck you towards him, and like there was this bar that was supposed to keep you from going forward, but yeah, it was not very well done because you would every now and then just pop over the bar and you'd go flying, and then it's a fire team wipe. All right, let's go. Let's try it again. And it was annoying. There's a reason why that's part of the reason why I think they removed that from the list of things you can do.
Uh,
But but yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in that's in Destiny 2 now. Um, so I'll go ahead and be like the one who will champion it. I will say that. So
Fair enough. Someone's got to do it.
yeah. Well, I'm
Yeah.
actually like one of those gamers that it's very very hard for me to hate a game, even with like something that is like glitchy and buggy and something. I will find the way to enjoy the game. So it's, I mean, I don't know. I'm a unique soul in the gaming area where I actually am like, everybody's like, this game is trash, this game is trash, and I'm like, actually, this game's kind of fun. I don't know what you guys are talking about. I enjoy it. So
I feel similar with a lot of games. I just always say, gaming is my hobby, and I want to enjoy my hobby. So I'm not going to be toxic and salty about everything. That's just, I think, a very healthy mindset that unfortunately a lot of vocal people don't agree with. But
yeah,
hey, that's uh, that's just the way the world works.
yeah. Unfortunately,
So, what are your favorite memories when it comes to rating?
um, so the I think the one that'll always pop into my head was the very first time I did a flawless raid. Of course, it was Crota's End, which is like the shortest and easiest of the raids that ever existed. Um, but it felt like such an achievement for the group I was with and everything that completing it without anybody dying was just like, it was fantastic. I got my platinum trophy on PlayStation, and I was like, "Yay, we're awesome, woo!" So that's always comes up as the first. The I think the next one, the like next most memorable was the Garden of Salvation raid in Destiny 2. And the reason I say that is because this is when we had just formed my current clan, and we were struggling with that final boss, trying to like make it work because it's kind of chaotic. Because what goes on is you get the fire team down, and then you have to send people over to an island. They have to collect motes, bring them back, and deposit them, and then another group has to go in while that's happening, and you have to do it 2 times on one side, 2 times on the other. Then the damage phase happens. I mean, it gets chaotic because you just get waves and waves of ads coming at you. Then the damage phase comes, and trying to do enough DPS to actually make it to do a solid like 3 phases of that was difficult at the time. And we struggled. I spent more time in that raid trying to complete it than I think I have spent completing it and sherpaing people through. So I spent a ridiculous amount of time. But what happened was I got into where I just looked at my friends and I'm like, look, if we ever complete this, I will chug the world's worst alcohol and I will film it for you guys and things like that. So I actually have, and it's on my YouTube, but I keep it private because I send it out to my clan every now and then when they ask. But there was me chugging MD 2020, and I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's like a how do we want? It's a malt wine, fruity. It's garbage. It's just absolute garbage. It's cheap for a reason. Um, but I lost that bet, so I actually like did this. It was the most horrifying thing I have ever tried to chug in my life. And they've had a laugh for that for years, and every now and then I have to like re-put it into our Discord server so that way new people can see, just see if they can coax me into making stupid bets like that again. But like once we got that complete with Garden of Salvation, it was just like, thank God we finally did it once. And then it was like immediately after we did it, the first words out were, let's do it again to see if we can do it again. I'm like, guys, we were in here for like 4 hours. I don't want to do it again.
Uh,
I want to complete it again, but I don't want to do it again. But like
Maybe
those are
next
the
week.
two standout moments for me.
Yeah,
How
that
about
that does
you?
sounds good.
Yeah.
I just want to say I see T Rising Phoenix saying he spent so much time in KF. I think he means King's Fall.
Yes,
I
she's one of my
uh,
moderators. That's
okay.
and she's also in my clan. I kind of got her thrown into the rabbit hole of Bungie of Destiny and everything. So she's now like in it as a still somewhat new. Like it's still extremely exciting for her and everything. So like we kind of threw her in the rabbit hole and she's kind of stuck there. Um, she's saying my
It's
precious.
always sad when you see, people getting dragged along with other people's addictions. It's a very sad thing.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
she's honestly, I think for her and especially what she had gone through, I think she needed that escape. And Destiny just it is incredibly satisfying for her nature because the way she put it was, it's a checklist of things to do, and she loves to scratch off things on the checklist. So for her, it's just like constant. There's something to do and keep her going. And I'm like, man, I miss that to a point. I miss having that
yeah,
checklist. My checklist is very small these days because I've done so much in that game.
I'm probably gonna go mental if I would ever start it up again.
You would
I've
have,
played
yeah.
for so many years.
There's so much you would be like. There's so much you've missed out on, and there's so much to catch up on. And it's just like you'd probably come in and be a little overwhelmed by everything that's going on. I know that's kind of an issue that's currently in the game. Is a lot of people are like they come in and they're like, I don't. Where do I start? What do I do? And it's like, honestly, just start anywhere and just go. You'll figure it
That
out.
that's that's not want to get sidetracked too much, but that's kind of the reason why I decided on a break and not returning. Uh, because I didn't start off with Destiny 2 on release, so we were just checking my notes. Curse of Osiris was almost over, I think. Um, didn't play it vigorously back then, but I already had so many things to do from just that and missing out since release. I just thought if I'm ever going to take a break from Destiny again for an extended time, there's just going to be this massive checklist again, and I just don't want that. And there are two ways to avoid it, and that's continue to play a lot every single week, or just don't play anymore at all. Uh, I in the end opted for option two.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
they've been starting. One of the nice things is they've been starting to build in ways for you to not feel like you're going to be missing out. To an extent, like there's still the missing out part, but there's still like chances for you to catch up on things. The way they put things together, and it's I'm still trying to comprehend how they've financially milked us of this. But you have like the main expansion that comes out at like $60, and then you have the season pass that's on top of it. And the season pass, it will give you like content throughout the year. It's actually done great for eliminating a lot of content drought that we used to complain about, like back in D1, where you would go literally 6 months with nothing else to happen in the game and you just kept running the same thing over and over again. Now we've got like every 12 weeks, we get a new season with some fresh story, and each week more of the story gets kind of released. So it's nice to have that like kind of constant flow, but at the same time, once they release the new expansion, all those seasons that came before that expansion are now gone. And it's one of those things, like that fear of missing out still plays a factor. So like it's a weird ecosystem right now where you've got the fear of missing out type thing, as well you can still retain it, and it's, I don't know, it's such a weird balance that they've managed to achieve. It actually it works. It's not perfect, but it works. And I don't know, it still boggles my mind that they Bungie has been able to navigate this really weird rocky landscape and survive it all and stay with it, where you had the games like Anthem and The Division, and games that tried to take that similar concept and just couldn't capitalize on it. Couldn't get that momentum going like Bungie did. And it's just like, I don't know what witchcraft and black magic they did, but they figured it out.
Yeah, I definitely think the type of content is very well placed with Destiny. I'm not even sure what it is with the Division, but I think at one point they wanted to have like 12-man raids, and I thought, no, that's not going to work. That's way too many people. How do you
Yeah.
expect people to plan like 12 people come together to spend time and learn how this thing works? That's just not going to happen.
Yeah,
Uh,
there was a
yeah,
time there where Destiny you could glitch 12 people into a raid, and we did it once, and we were like, we're never gonna do that again because it was such chaos that we like it should have been easy, but it was actually more difficult because there were too many people trying to talk at the same time, and it was just it got maddening, and I'm like, yeah, there's a reason why 12-man raids don't exist.
yeah. The division tried it and it didn't work.
Yeah.
Uh,
I couldn't imagine it in the division either because it was built in the same manner, right? Like where it's like we
yeah,
really want to focus on smaller teams type thing.
yeah. Especially with like normal missions and like your weekly and daily missions, they were with 3 people as well, just like Destiny, fire team of 3. You know, that
Yeah.
was the same in the division, and then suddenly they wanted to go all out with like their raids, and no, just didn't work.
Oof.
But yeah, um, you did ask about my favorite raid experience from Destiny. I think one of the two things is probably trying to figure out the Taken King raid because that's the only raid I've actually
Oh
been
yeah.
for when it went live. So you know, I was one of the many teams trying to figure out how it actually worked and stuff like that together with you know my main clan I would call it, as I was in 2 clans. This one was a lot more active and a lot more serious about stuff. You know, trying to figure it out, it was good fun, you know, especially since the other fun memories is with that same clan where at some points I just always played a Titan and I never really cared for being any of the other characters.
Yay,
Um,
fellow Titan main.
oh my god, how many other things are we gonna have in common here?
I don't
This is
know.
gonna get creepy.
I just think it's awesome.
uh, uh, but yeah, I only had one character. Like I had a warlock and a hunter, but they were very much neglected. Um, and yeah, this at the start of like this clan was getting split up when a lot of people moved from 360 to Xbox One, where I was at. And so these Xbox One people needed new people to play with, and you know there weren't 6 people anymore, so they often needed someone else to fill in the gaps. And you know we were really well oiled together, and we would just do like 3 or 4 raids a night. Uh, you know, including Crotazent and Vault of Glass. We would alternate those.
Oh yeah.
I know that was just good fun.
Oh
Just
yeah.
uh, just going through a couple of raids a night, just sliding through them, and then just dance in the tower afterwards until everyone went offline.
Yeah. The dancing
That's
in the tower. That was a must. Yeah.
I always had to dance in the tower.
Oh yeah. It was always fun when you could get the
Absolutely.
random people to join in.
Yeah. Like I kind of want to see if I still have the clips of the entire tower eventually just come together, and there are like 20 people dancing in that little cafe
Oh
at
yeah.
the
Where they had the
at the start.
jukebox.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with the goosebumps. You know, those were the good times. And then, you know, Taken King was completely the other end, where with the Vault of Glass and Crota's End, we knew exactly what we needed to do. And with King's Fall, it was just trying to figure out everything on our own. Um, Something we never really did before, because when we started doing vaults and Crota's End, you know, all the mechanics were no. So you know, a very big difference in contrast, but yeah, good fun, both of them.
Oh yeah. Just makes me yeah, I'm just still giggling at the fact that we just keep winding up with like similar stories. I'm like, it's gonna be different perspectives. Actually, it's kind of the same thing.
Awesome. So, what do you think of the Prison of Elders? You know, still sticking around
Oh
Destiny 1.
man. Honestly, I still remember Prison of Elders being probably the hardest thing I had ever done in Destiny. And that's like including all the stuff that they've come out with recently. I feel like Prison of Elders had an unprecedented like learning curve. Well, maybe not learning curve, but like difficulty curve, where you would go in and you'd be challenged by those first few rooms, but then once you would get to the final boss, it was just that was the most nightmarish thing I had ever gone through because it was this constant like influx of just insanity. Diffuse the mines, clear these enemies, still try to do the boss damage, try to stay alive, but you can't stay alive because everything two shots you, and it was like madness. And they never, I don't remember them ever changing it. I don't think like it ever got any easier. I think it was always still like ridiculously difficult. It was, I mean, I loved it. I loved the challenge of it. I loved the idea of it. Would I like it to return? Like, there's a part of me that says yes, but I know with the way Bungie's handling things now, it would not have that difficulty factor to attach to it. So, it's very nostalgic, and I'm glad it stays in Destiny 1. And I like to go back to Destiny 1 every now and then. And like, with the knowledge I have now, looking at it, going, oh my God, look at all these signs that none of us really looked at. It's nice to have that like super challenge.
Yeah. I one of the times that I took a break from Destiny was during that season after House of Wolves was released. Um, just go back to playing other games, and once again, I had someone that I met on the forum send me a message saying, "Hey, can you help with the Nightfall?" And I was in a party chat with someone else, and I said, "I'll be back in a couple of minutes. They're at the boss room. They just need some help." It was Volast Arc. And so yeah, I just wanted to show them the cheese spot, get
Yeah.
rid of Volas and be done with it. And that somehow Destiny just knew, like we have to give him something from this Nightfall that will make him return, because that was the first time that I got the Gjallarhorn. After months of not playing, I just get back into the Nightfall, and
Wow.
I'm like, wow, I got the Gjallarhorn. And these two guys that I was playing with, they didn't even know what that was. I was like, this is the most badass rocket launcher you can get.
Yep.
And, you know, I got sucked back into the game. And, you know, that they were on the high because they finally finished that Nightfall that they were spending hours on, and they were like, "You want to do Prison of Elders?" I'm like, "Yeah, fuck it, I got my Gjallarhorn." And that was the first time I actually completed the hardest difficulty of Prison of Elders as well. That was all in the same night. That
Oh
was that
wow.
was pretty
That's a
impressive.
that's a good night.
Yeah, that was a really good night.
Oh no, oh man, Yellowhorn for me. I'm that week too, where everybody's like, "Why would you get an exotic rocket launcher? Who would want that?" I I didn't even have the strange coins enough to buy it, but like I didn't get mine until oh my gosh, it was I can't even remember. I just know everybody would be like, "Well, get it, bring your Yellowhorn." I don't have one. And I didn't have one for the longest time. I don't think it was until maybe like shortly before Crota's End came out or something like that. I can't really remember. I just remember I didn't have it for the longest time, and I couldn't join any like LFG groups because you had to have Gallahorn in order to get into most groups. It's if you didn't have
That was
Gallahorn,
so
you
that
can't
was so
come.
terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I was on the I don't get this weapon till like the last minute.
yeah.
That's my
Uh,
RNG luck, though. I usually don't get anything until way later.
how was it with raids when um you're talking about the 29 forever type of thing?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um, how often we had it that you drop like a level 30 chest piece and someone else is like, "Oh, why do you get a level 30 chest piece? I need a level 30 chest piece."
Oh
Well, yeah,
man,
you just got a level 30 headgear. You don't hear me complain about that. That's the one
yeah.
I need. You,
It-
you always have that one person in every group
oh
who's
yeah.
just constantly complaining that you're getting the things that he wants.
When like if I remember right, at that time you would get an armor piece that would drop, but it could be for any of the classes. So you could be running a Titan and it would drop for like Warlock, and you would scream in anger, like, why isn't it the one I need? It was, and like, that was also the days where legendary engrams would drop like blue level gear. So it would like reverse back and it wasn't supposed to. And it was just, oh my God, that early loot pull was so bad.
Uh, yeah, it was frustrating. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, for me, that I remember a lot of people were like crying out at that time, where they were just like, we need some sort of like gear trading between players. Like, we need to have some kind of market where we can sell each other, these things. And Bungie was like, no, that's not the point. And none of us really understood what the point was. But I remember that being shouted out a lot. We need gear trading.
I am glad they never did that though.
Me too.
Yeah, that would have made things, just a bit too easy.
Yeah.
Especially because you are going to find the people who like grind out Destiny so much, and they're just going to drop god tier Crucible gear for their new friends, and
Hmm.
they didn't earn it, and they're just walking around with some of the best stuff. And all they had to give was just a crappy common assault rifle that they got in the opening mission,
Yeah.
something like that. So yeah, it's really good that something like that never really came to Destiny.
Yeah. No, I'm glad Bungie stuck to their guns on that one, because the way the game would be now would just be the Wild West. Or it just may not exist. It may possibly could have just straight up ruined the game. But
I think it probably would.
yeah.
It would take away so much of like the grinding experience, because I do think a lot of people tend to forget that Destiny is not just a shooter. It's also, kind of like an MMORPG. And, you need all those raids and loot mechanics, stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh man.
Just like Rising Phoenix is saying as well in chat.
Yeah, it wouldn't keep people coming back. Well, I mean, I think a lot of people, when they thought, you would be getting randomized gear, I think what people thought at the time was it was going to have this massive loot pool, and it really wasn't. And I don't think any of us really kind of understood that the loot pool was really actually very limited. It was the perks that you were chasing for individual guns, and we didn't know that when we first started. But now that's just part of the culture now. Now everybody's always looking for the god roll, this gun, that gun, and whatnot. So, I think it was just one of those that they stuck with it, knew what the culture needed to be around loot, and they just stuck to it until everybody came around.
Yeah. The first chase is really just getting to the maximum level, and after that it's, getting the right perks.
Yep. Of course,
That's
me, I
yeah.
hardly ever know what god rolls I need. I just get ones that feel good, they're fun, and I just go with it.
True. What are your thoughts on the Crucible? Like in general and the current state?
I think when it started, it was still based on, kind of that Halo. We needed to have this multiplayer kind of similar to Halo, because that's what Bungie was known for. And, like it played the role very well of what it needed to be. The problem that Bungie faces now, excuse me, um, is Crucible is in a very weird spot where you've got the Trials of Osiris, which is like the end game version for Crucible, where people are trying to go do these flawless tickets to get to the lighthouse and get these incredible weapons and everything. The problem is not everybody can achieve that, so everybody feels like there's this wall, and it's always been a topic of debate. But like the way the Crucible is now, it feels like it's become something that it's just, here it is. It's another way to get some loot and, something to do with your friends, but it's definitely not focused on there. It's not, it doesn't feel like it's really engaged in anything game changing or anything like that. It still feels like it's trying to still be stuck in the old Halo days. And I think that's part of the holdback on it. Of course, as Rising Phoenix is saying here, if skill-based matchmaking was better, people would be more prone to play, which is true. I mean, the current state of the matchmaking in general is just, you don't know who you're going to wind up against. There are matches where I wind up just absolutely dominating teams by myself, and then there's a match where I couldn't get a kill to save my life, and there's no like balance to it. It just feels like the Wild West. You don't know who you're going to come up against, and it's gets crazy. I think
So that has never changed over the last couple of years.
no, not really. It's still this pretty much the same as it's been. It's similar to how Gambit is. Sorry, hang on. Ah, sorry about that. Like Crucible and Gambit both are kind of suffering from this just lack of attention, is what it feels like. Like it's just those they're there. There's something for you to work on for weekly like bounties and things like that. And then beyond that, it's just there's nothing really dedicated to it. There's nothing really you want to chase with it. So I think like it's just a thing that Bungie has really pivoted hard into the narrative storytelling, and they've just kind of let anything that is PvP or PvEVP, they just kind of let those things kind of fall by the wayside, and they're just like whatever. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, it's a shame that never changed because it did always feel like that. I was hoping for a different answer. You'd
Yeah.
say they finally made it balanced and
Well,
fun and worthwhile.
this kind of falls into this thought process I've had because, when Bungie split from Activision, there was a definite noticeable change in direction. And what I mean by that is you could see this shift from stuff that was finished. You could see this shift where it was starting to really start focusing on we want to drive this narrative. We want to get into the storytelling. This is what we're good at. This is what we like to do. And it feels like once they got out away from Activision, they didn't feel pressured or felt it necessary to focus on those PvP aspects because what they wanted to focus on, they now could, and they could do what they wanted. And so I think that's where that kind of drop off comes is they got out from that out underneath Activision and then went, cool, we're going to do what we want to do, and whatever's in the game, we're just going to focus on what we want. And I think like that to me is where a lot of that just lack of anything happening for PvP has kind of come from.
Yeah, that does actually kind of make sense. That's something you would probably hope that they would focus a little bit on PvP. So, it's not just there to be there.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the with the more recent reports and everything that have been coming out is that Bungie's working on a PvP only game. Now it's probably not going to be set in the Destiny universe, but it may be. We really don't know. But we do know that they have a PvP focused game that they're working on. And so I think what their goal is they'll bring that Bungie flavor of PvP into a focused game, and then Destiny will eventually just be like, the Crucible is what it is, and if you want to play it, great, but we're not going to really support it anymore. Because I can't really remember the last, okay, they did do one new PvP map when Witch Queen dropped, just one.
That's not a lot.
No, and I don't remember. I don't remember them really doing any Crucible maps dropped in Shadowkeep. They may have done one in Shadowkeep, but like even between it's just like one map per expansion. And it's just like
Oh,
that's really not enough to sustain the PvP community because they're all just like, yeah, these maps are old and boring now. We need something new. And they're not really getting it. They're bringing back some old maps from Destiny 1, but it's like veterans know those maps. They're not really new to us. It's just new to Destiny 2. So, yeah, there's definitely a lack of focus on the PvP side of things. And they try to like manage the matchmaking and everything, but it's not where it should be.
do you enjoy it, or is it like something you're skipping every single week because you're at a focus on other stuff?
Um I don't do the competitive side. Mainly because most of the people who are doing the competitive stuff, they are the super sweats. The people who are just diehard, this is their aspect of the game that they love. So for me, I just do the casual playlist. I do my 3 to get my pinnacle and do the bounties so I can get, the experience I need, and that's pretty much it. When Iron Banner comes around, I do grind that out, but that's because they've got me with seals. I chase these seals around, and they're just like, yeah, there's an Iron Lord title you can have, and I'm like, I have to have it. That need in me, and it's like I need to have that title. I want to be
Yeah,
known as an Iron Lord. Give me that. So I'll spend more time in PvP when that comes around, so I can keep chasing that title. But other than that, it's not something I really kind of do unless I get a whole bunch of other people who are like, let's just stack up and let's just go have some fun. It's like, okay, something to do.
yeah. It's when it comes to PvP, like especially in Destiny 1, I was kind of new to multiplayer games, and I would just plain and simple suck in multiplayer. That's just the basic of it. Um, when Destiny 2 came around and I started playing that, I was more versatile with like multiplayer games, played some Battlefields, Rainbow Six Siege, stuff like that. So I had more shooting experience, and it also became more fun because, winning half the games is more fun than losing all of them.
Yes. Yes.
That's just how simple it is. And you're absolutely right with the trials kind of having this glass ceiling because you just have all these sweat players with good guns who will get those flawless runs, and then it will get more crucible weapons that are even better. And the skill gap is just becoming so much bigger, and it becomes more inachievable for people to get to that lighthouse.
Oh yeah. When I sometimes feel like with Trials of Osiris, it kind of on the at least on the PC side of things, because that's where a lot of the complaints come from. Um, but with Trials of Osiris, I feel like that's what really brought in the people who felt like they needed to cheat in order to get. And I hate that. Like for me, that's game ruining for anyone because if you have
Yeah,
to cheat at a game, then what's the point? Like there's no enjoyment that you can truly get out of it if you have to cheat your way to winning. And
yeah,
so like I know Bungie's been trying to crack down on cheaters, and they sued one company for their cheat mechanics, and now that company's trying to counter sue them. It's a weird situation. I don't know if that's ever going to go through, but I hate seeing those kind of things get introduced, especially in PvP games. These multiplayer games where people feel they have to cheat because they don't want to. They just maybe aren't that great at it, but then it's just like you're ruining it for other people. So why would you do that? I don't know.
yeah.
It's just it's me. It's my thought process.
It's it's probably worse because you can kind of sympathize with these people. If they're never going to see the lighthouse because they're just not good enough, um, cheating to finally see it once is going to be very tempting.
Yeah.
Where, yeah, with a lot of other games, people just cheat for a rank, and it's just really for their own stupid desire to, flaunt a meaningless badge in a game.
See Call of Duty.
But that's that's every shooter out there.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
Oh yeah.
It's successful. Uh, yeah, with Destiny, you can almost sympathize with people
Oh,
for
I do
wanting to cheat.
sympathize because I've never been to the lighthouse ever.
Me neither. Me neither.
8 years playing, never been. It's a figment. I don't believe it exists anymore.
Like, how many wins do you need? Like 6 in a
You
row?
have to have 7 in a row. You can have there is a ticket that gives you a mulligan. So if you were to lose one, it just gives you the mulligan and keeps your streak alive. But still, like getting 7 wins out of 8, essentially, it's really hard to do.
Yeah,
Especially in the current like lack of any real quality matchmaking. Um, it's so much harder because it's just like I know I'm not going to get paired up with people that are on the same skill level as me. I'm gonna get paired up with this guy who is just literally carrying people through to the lighthouse, and it's
Yeah.
just, I know there's some great streamers out there who have made a living off of building their community around, hey, I'm carrying you to the lighthouse. And I mean they're good at it. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
carry them all you want, man.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, the closest I've gotten was with this, with the same team that I did at Nightfall with the Gellhorn and the Prison of Elvis with. Um, the closest we got was we lost the first match. And what we should have done was just cancel that thing, so we would still have that safety net, but we didn't. And then we went on like a 5 or 6 match winning streak. It was going really well, and then we just lost so closely in that other game, and that
Oh,
was kind of devastating, really. Just so much work, and if only we just bent this stupid ticket out so we still had that safety net, we probably would have made it, but we
yeah.
didn't. I know that's the closest we ever got, and we have tried, but yeah, we never made it.
Yeah. I think the closest I got was one win away, and I think that was only once. And it was just I was on a really lucky streak that day, and I usually I get to about 4 wins, and then I'm done. It never works out after that.
Yeah. Tactics can actually go a long way because, especially like you're saying, you have people who just carry other people, but that
Mhm.
does mean there are two dead weights. And if you can outsmart that singular person with the three of you, then it's feasible. Hard, but feasible.
Yeah,
Um, you just need people who are good with that kind of communication, and when everything falls together, you can actually get pretty close.
yeah,
But just being a half decent shot.
yeah. Especially if you're good with a sniper rifle. I'm garbage with a sniper rifle.
Yeah, I was the Titan in that fire team of three, and both of them were pretty good with snipers. Like there were two brothers. The older one was quite good with a sniper. The other one was decent. Um, my job was just often to flank, throw a hammer, flank them with a shotgun or whatever, melee them in the back. Um, as they were distracting them. That would often work, but they're always the kind of people who were quick to adapt, and then
Yeah,
you defeat them with those tactics 2 rounds, and then the third round they turn it around, and it all goes downhill again. That's just you know, kudos to them because they're just very good players.
yep. Oh,
Do you have any other Destiny stories that you want to share?
um, I think one of the things that I always kind of stew in my head is where Destiny's going. Because if you're not familiar, they're currently in what they're calling the end of the Light and Dark saga, and so we're finally we know who the actual enemy is. The enemy goes by the Witness, and this story has gotten so much more complicated, and all these different threads that are out there. I mean, there are so many different stories that we're still working on, and it's going to be completed here in another 2 years. But then they said that they've got another 10 years planned. And I'm sitting here just trying to fathom, because I remember going, this is going to be a 10-year game. When we first started, 10 years, like who's going to stay around that long? And here I am, almost 8 years later, still going with this, and then going, what am I going to do when I have to start going into this next 10 years? Because I'm sucked into all these plot threads, and they're literally building all the framework right now for the following 10 years after this Light and Dark saga. And it's just like the how they keep this going sometimes is just unbelievable to me. And so, like, going on this journey and having this, okay, this is when it'll end, and now they're telling us there's going to be more after that. It's just I'm like, where did my life go? How it's been too long already.
Have a go.
Indeed. Um, but I don't know. It's just it is so um, it's so bonkers to think that they have built something that is become so sustainable that now Sony buys them, and now Sony's getting ready to transform into a multimedia franchise where it's not just going to be video games, but they're going to start putting together television series, movies, all this stuff based around this game we just started, because Bungie was making it and we didn't know what the hell we were playing in the first place. And now it's becoming so much bigger than what it started as. It's to me, it's one of those things that it still boggles my mind. And I'm like, is there an exit ramp for me? Is there going to come a time that I'm actually going to be able to jump off this? Because the way it goes, the more in depth these stories go and everything, I just can't stop. So like for me, it's this constant drive and this constant wonder that's going through my head keeps me in the game. And of course, with My Name is Bife, keep putting out, lore explanation videos. That just keeps me going even more because it's just like, ooh, I missed a detail. Oh my God, the theories. And it's just, this, I've never had a fan obsession like this with a lot of things. It's just bonkers to me. I don't know. I don't even know, like, if you've even seen where the story's been going the past few years.
Nope.
Oh,
Nope.
they definitely upped the wow factor on story for sure. We get this realization that the Hive is not exactly the enemy we thought they were, that they were manipulated from the get-go, and it's just like, these twists and turns they keep throwing at us is just it's awe-inspiring to watch.
That's almost enticing.
Yeah, I know. I'm good. I'm good at enticing people into this. That's how I got Rising Phoenix there.
Fair enough.
um,
I mean, I'm honestly just a little bit shocked to think that Destiny, with the current state it is in, it's probably gonna have like a series or movies and stuff like that. When thinking back of Destiny 1, there was barely any story to dive into,
well, and the thing,
especially if you were just playing the game.
yeah, well, and like, so that's like one of the things that me and some of my clanmates, who are we get really into the lore. Um, we sit and we every now and then we'll go back to Destiny 1 to experience some things, and then we go, the story was actually there the entire time. We just didn't understand it. Like there was that story was actually there. We just didn't understand the complicated nature of what they were doing. That you were literally being dropped in the middle of a story, and then you're following this middle of the story trying to figure out what it's all about, and then once it's revealed and you look back, you're like, "Oh my God, I get it now." And that's how Destiny worked with its narrative, was they literally just dropped you in the middle and said go, and you had to kind of figure out, why is this happening? Why is this happening? And then the more you learn, the more just engrossed you get with it. And then, I mean, it didn't help that they put all that stuff in those Grimoire cards that you could only read on their website. That didn't really help, but
No. I
but
mean,
yeah.
I guess at the time they didn't lie when they said they didn't have time to explain what they didn't have time to explain.
Yeah, we all laughed at that. Makes more sense now.
You're almost making me download this again.
I'm sorry.
That's not a good thing.
I'm sorry. I'll stop.
uh,
I mean, it's just like I said, it's been a passion. I mean, I've loved this game, from the beginning, unexpectedly. Um, I didn't understand what I was getting into, but the love was there, and it kind of grew over time. And through the good and the bad, I've kind of been there, and I've been following, and there's still things that are wrong with the game. There's still things that just, you look at it and you're like, like I'm kind of sitting in a burnout period right now where I'm like, I just don't know if I can keep grinding, but I keep going because I'm like, I need that story. I need to know what's happening next. I need to know what's happening with this person, what's happening with this person, what's happening with the fallen, what's happening with the hive, and there's so many different plot threads that it's just like it keeps me invested, even though I've kind of hit a burnout, and I'm like, I'm gonna play some other games, but I'm gonna kind of keep poking back and coming back and just checking on a few things. So even though like I'm kind of hitting a little bit of a break point, I'm still checking in fairly regularly to kind of keep up. So they've done a good
Fair
job
enough.
at still hooking me even when I'm ready to be done.
Uh, yeah, that does really sound familiar because when I did finally decide to just stop, like my initial thought was to get back at the game at some point, just taking a couple of weeks off, and I thought I really just need to uninstall this game so I don't accidentally just press it one night and get sucked back into it. This thing just needs to go away from my hard drive.
I couldn't do it. Like no matter how many times I looked at that uninstall to be like, I don't know. I always came back to it. There was always something that was going to draw me back, and I don't know the way they have things set now and the way the direction it's going. I'm still committed to the game. Not as heavily. I'm not running, you know, three strikes every week, and I'm not hitting the nightfalls all the time. But I'm still there, and I still enjoy what I'm doing, and I'm still running a clan. Amidst all the other things I do in my life right now, but um, I still stay involved, and it's I don't know. I've never been into a game franchise like this before, and it's definitely something that I now understand World of Warcraft players a little bit better.
Uh, would you say that at this point, the story is more easy to digest for people than it was like 2 years ago?
Yes. Especially with the seasonal content. So, um, actually, this week they just wrapped up their 8 week cycle for the season, and it left us on a pretty good cliffhanger. But each week they give you very straightforward what's happening each week. It's very kind of straightforward what's going on, and then they have the lore books that you can actually sit and read in the game, that dive into more backstory, more reasonings, and more theories, and more things for you to ponder on. And I mean, with this season, it story wise was really fascinating because we finally got around to a character that we had heard about with one piece of armor, Nezarek's, the helm that's Nezarek and all that. Um, we finally now start understanding who Nezarek is and what his importance is, and we're starting to like get all that together, and it's been fascinating week by week, kind of uncovering that's what we've been looking at this whole season was Nezarek and his dead body parts and these artifacts.
Hmm.
um and so like having that where you're still pondering stuff during the season and even after the season ends, you still have questions. You still have these things that you're like, I know where the story's going. I know what we've just been through, but what's going to come next, and what can we look forward to? And I rumor right now is we're going to get into a season that deals with Rasputin, which is great because we haven't heard from him since, well, before Beyond Light in the season of Arrivals when the darkness first kind of presented itself. So it's been a while, and I've been kind of pondering that one myself for a while. So I know the new season will draw me in if that's true. But I mean, the narrative is so much easier for people to follow because you get that week to week. Here's the weekly storyline to go through, and then you have that time to digest it and take it in, and then if you want to go further, you can. So they've done a great job narratively on really giving you stuff to know what's going on and understand why things are happening the way they are. So yeah, narratively they've done great.
That's good to know.
Yeah,
So I do
much
have
better
one
than Grimoire.
final. I do have one final question, which
Sure.
is there any character within the story that you just absolutely hate?
um, are we talking active character or characters in general?
Characters in general, because you can talk about active characters. I don't know who gets off in all these years
um,
since I haven't played. So
there is one character in particular. I'm glad he didn't die, so to speak. We people thought he died. I knew he didn't. But Asher Mir, who would be on IO, I don't know if you remember him, but he was the one who was like, "Yeah, you're my assistant," and had that really annoying voice.
Oh,
Always was condescending anytime he talked
that
to
one.
you. Um,
Yeah.
Never liked that character. Hated him every time. When season of arrivals happened and Io is basically getting disappeared. Um, the story for him was that he went to um oh my gosh, the into the Pyramidion to go to the lake where he lost his arm and all that, and he was gonna try and do his final research, so to speak. And what happened was the Pyramidion collapsed on top of him, and everybody's like, "Oh, well, Astromir's dead." And I'm like, from the lore that we had gotten and everything prior to that, was that the radiolarian fluid that he lost his arm in, it actually just transformed him. And when Beyond Light came out, it was brought to us that radiolarian would actually transform you fully into a Vex. So you would actually become Vex if you were fully immersed in radiolarian. And then in a quest, an exotic quest line, you ran into a Vex harpy that was beeping in Morse code. And people actually went through with Morse code and found out that it said assistant, which was what Asher kept calling you. So it was a fun little like thing to follow over the course of like a year and a half. That everybody thought he was dead. I knew he wasn't dead. I'm like, he went into radiolarian fluid. Something's gonna happen, and then it comes out he turned into a Vex harpy. So
Yeah.
I mean, it really cool story progression for him. Still hate the character.
Uh, I actually do remember Ashimir now that you mentioned him. He is quite annoying.
Yeah.
Quite honestly, from what I've seen, maybe the character redeems itself over the last couple of years. I doubt it. I really hated Erismorn.
um, with the introduction of her and Drifter interacting with each other, it's much more fun now with her. She's become a more interesting character than what she started out as.
There was one thing I said when I stopped playing is if there's a season or a story where Erismorn dies, I'll happily play again. Because I want to see that.
I especially with the way things are going, I don't see that, but I do see her
Ah,
switching sides. I
okay.
think if we follow the dark timeline that was prophesized, um, I think we'll see Eris Morn actually become a disciple of the darkness, and she'll like be the betrayer. So I think that would make it interesting for you if she actually does do that.
Hey, it's time to come out of retirement
Yeah, maybe.
and kill that. I I probably shouldn't say that on the stream.
Oh, you're fine.
Uh, gotta keep it gentle.
Oh, you don't have to be gentle on my streams. I can. If you've ever seen my Wednesday
Uh,
night streams, you'll understand there's nothing gentle that happens on my streams.
Fair enough.
We
Fair
have
enough.
one rule, and that's just nothing derogatory to other people. After that, it's almost Wild West like.
Ah, okay. Good to know if there's a next time.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
all
yeah.
right.
Um.
Gotta keep my eyes open for Operation Kill Hours more. That's one
Yeah.
thing.
Well,
That's for sure.
I'll drop you a line if that ever becomes a thing. And if it
Awesome.
does, maybe that'll be your time to come back.
Absolutely. Been waiting for this. It's been a it's been a long time coming.
I'm
Uh,
gonna get you.
uh,
All right. Was there anything else that you wanted to talk about today?
I think we covered everything
Okay.
at this point. So yeah, I guess we can say that we both definitely have enjoyed our Destiny experiences.
Yeah. Very
No, that
started very similarly, which was unexpected.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
It's a fun
It's
revelation.
yeah, definitely. I will admit that I probably wasn't going to do this chat if there wasn't just a little bit of love left for Destiny, and it's been really enticing. There's someone passionate speaking about it, and makes you wonder perhaps it is time for a return. And then I just look at all the other games that I have installed, and I think I probably shouldn't. But
Yeah.
that's you know,
I
sometimes
look
you just have to make poor decisions.
I look to my left and I see this. I have a gigantic wall of video games, some of which have never been played. And I go, what do I wind up doing? Destiny. So
Yeah,
you might actually be better off because then maybe you can actually work through your backlog where mine sits here and entices me. And then I still get sucked into that obsession.
yeah. That's you know, a good multiplayer will do that to you.
Yeah. As it does with most people in their games. And honestly, as long as you enjoy what you're playing, that's all that really matters.
Exactly.
So
Well, unless you have anything else to share or mention, I
no,
think we can
no.
wrap this up.
I think we covered a lot of good ground. So
All right.
I want to thank
Awesome.
you for joining me and inviting me in to do this. This was fun. I enjoyed this. I love
Yeah,
doing podcast style kind of streams and such because for me it's I don't know, it's fulfilling to me. So
just fun speaking about things you love.
yes, very much.
Absolutely.
All right,
Well, I guess this is it.
all right. Well, thanks for joining me, and we'll have to do this again sometime. Maybe we'll find another topic we'll do.
Yeah, I'll have a look at the collective games that we played and see if there's anything else.
Okay,
Or
sounds good to me.
there's something else that we might be able to do, but we'd have
Okay,
to think about that.
okay,
We'll have to see.
sounds good.
Awesome.
All right. Well, then we'll get ourselves going. I want to say thank you to everybody who showed up and joined us on the stream today, and yeah, I will be catching all of you probably Monday night. So with that, we're going to take off. We're going to say goodbye. And I know that I love you guys. Know that you do way more for me than you guys realize. Trust me on that. It is very, very true. So thank you for all of your love and support. And we will catch you later. Make sure you're checking out MMD Network on YouTube. Yes, check him out. He's got a lot of good stuff on there. Definitely, definitely, definitely go take a look. So with that, good night, everybody.